Welcome to Whisper of Haunted Waves. In 1971, the Perron family thought they had found their dream home, a big old farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island, surrounded by fields and ancient trees. It was quiet, the kind of silence that feels peaceful at first. But silence can hide things. Silence can wait. And the moment the Perrons stepped inside, something in that house opened its eyes. It started small, a broom not quite where it was left, the soft sound of footsteps in an empty hall, strange smells that would drift through the rooms at night, like something sweet, or sometimes something rotting. The 5 Perron daughters all started waking up with the same chilling feeling. Someone had been standing in their room while they slept. Someone they couldn't see, but felt deep in their bones. At first, they tried to explain it away. Old houses settle, pipes groan, wood creaks. But this wasn't just the house. This was something intelligent, something aware. Soon the spirits started to show themselves. The younger girls would see a little boy wandering the hallway, just watching them before vanishing around a corner. Another daughter saw a woman in a grey dress, her head bowed as if she were crying. One night, a daughter woke up to find a man standing at the foot of her bed, staring with empty eyes. She blinked, and he was gone. The mother, Carolyn Perron, started noticing more sinister patterns. Objects would disappear for days, only to reappear in the exact same spot, as if something was trying to make her question her own sanity. She heard whispers in the kitchen while she cooked, like a conversation happening just out of sight. She'd feel a tug on her hair while cleaning, or see shadows move in her peripheral vision, even when the lights were on. The father, Roger, wasn't spared either. He heard heavy footsteps, loud enough to shake the floorboards above him. He'd smell rotting flesh, a foul, overpowering scent that would appear for a few seconds and then vanish completely. He searched under the house for a dead animal, but found nothing. The smell came and went whenever it pleased, as if something wanted him to know it was there. Then, the activity escalated. Doors would slam shut with violent force in the middle of the day. Windows rattled as if in a hurricane, even when there was no wind. The temperature would drop so suddenly, the family could see their own breath. At night, they heard dragging sounds from inside the walls, like something huge crawling through the structure of the house, trying to find a way in. And then came the darkest presence of all, Bathsheba. This was the entity that would later be identified by the famous paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. It revealed itself slowly, a powerful, malevolent force that did not want the family in its home. Caroline would often wake up at exactly 3:07 a.m., gasping for air, feeling invisible hands around her throat, unable to scream. She started seeing a woman in the corner of her room, an ancient, twisted figure with hollow eyes and a head that hung at a sickening, broken angle. The figure would just stand there, staring, before dissolving back into the shadows. The daughters experienced a different kind of terror. They would see this same woman standing in their doorway, glaring at them with pure rage, whispering words they couldn't understand. Sometimes, the woman would crawl across the floor on all fours, her body contorting in unnatural, jittery movements. One daughter described waking to find the woman's face just inches from her own, her breath ice cold against her cheek. She tried to scream, but no sound would come out. The house itself felt trapped in a suffocating darkness. Caroline began suffering from strange physical ailments, sharp, burning pains on her skin, sudden weakness in her legs, and terrifying moments of paralysis that would last for minutes. She was exhausted, terrified, and always felt like she was being watched. She said the spirit hated her, specifically, and it wanted her gone. One day, Caroline was lying in bed when she felt something crawl on top of her. She was paralyzed, unable to move or breathe, a crushing weight pressing down on her chest. Hovering above her was a face with sunken eyes, rotting skin, and a grin that stretched unnaturally wide. The entity whispered something directly into her ear. To this day, she has never repeated what it said. Desperate, the family finally contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren. The moment Lorraine stepped into the house, she sensed a suffocating, ancient evil. She claimed the land itself was cursed, and that she could see spirits all over the property, children, soldiers, farmers, all trapped, all watching. But one spirit overshadowed all the others, a woman named Bathsheba. Local legend said, Bathsheba had been a practitioner of dark arts in the 1800s. She was blamed for the death of an infant neighbor, with rumors swirling that she had sacrificed the child to a demonic entity. Other stories claimed she had cursed the land before taking her own life in a horrific act. When Lorraine entered the Perron home, she said she felt Bathsheba's hatred instantly. It clung to the walls like rot. The spirit wanted Caroline. It wanted her energy. It wanted her life. The spirit wanted Caroline. It wanted her energy. It wanted her life. As the Warrens investigated, the paranormal activity grew even more violent. Furniture slid across the floor on its own. Mirrors cracked without being touched. Mirrors cracked without being touched. At night, the footsteps were louder, faster, angrier. Even the family dog refused to enter the house, growling at the front door with its tail between its legs. One night, the Warrens conducted a séance, attempting to contact the entity and force it out. The ritual backfired catastrophically. Caroline's body began to twist into unnatural positions, her limbs bending painfully. Her head snapped back, her eyes rolled into her skull, and she let out a scream that didn't sound human. Chairs around the table shook. A drawer flew open and smashed against the wall. The lights flickered and burst, one by one, as the room filled with the sound of 100 whispering voices rising to a deafening roar. The force then lifted Caroline into the air and threw her across the room. Terrified for his wife, Roger Perron screamed at the Warrens to leave immediately, but the damage was done. Bathsheba's presence had grown stronger than ever. Bathsheba's presence had grown stronger than ever. After that night, Caroline was never the same. She walked as if in a trance, often staring at empty corners with fear in her eyes. She spoke to someone only she could see. The entity attacked her relentlessly, pulling her hair, scratching her skin, pushing her downstairs, and choking her in her sleep. The children, too afraid to be alone, began sleeping together in one room with the door locked. But even then, they felt the bed shake at night. They heard breathing from under the mattress. Cold fingers would brush against their ankles. The shadowy woman would appear at their doorway, a silent, unmoving sentinel, watching them until morning. The Perrons finally escaped the home, not through an exorcism, but by simply leaving it all behind. They couldn't fight it anymore. But even after they moved, the family said the memories, and the feeling of being watched, followed them. Caroline said she could still sometimes feel Bathsheba in the corner of her vision. The daughters still had nightmares about the woman with the sunken eyes and the broken neck. The house in Harrisville still stands today. Visitors report sudden chills, overwhelming headaches, and hearing whispers that seem to call their name. Some even claim to have seen the same dark figure the Perron family described, standing in a window, staring out at the yard. The land around it remains heavy, silent, and deeply unsettling. Some say Bathsheba never left. They say she's still there, waiting for the next family curious enough, or maybe foolish enough, to open the door and step inside. The real story behind The Conjuring wasn't just about ghosts. It was about something ancient, something that chooses a person and refuses to let go. And even now, decades later, people swear that on certain nights, if you stand outside that house and listen very, very closely, you can still hear footsteps moving across the wooden floors, slow, heavy, and patient, as if the house itself remembers the fear, and as if something inside is still awake. As if the house itself remembers the fear, and as if something inside is still awake. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as chilling as I did, make sure to hit that like button. Follow for more.